Boyfriends is about four characters who decide to get into a polygamous relationship, and it's a slice of life kind of webcomic on Webtoons. And for some reason, I've been bombarded by content about this particular webcomic. From all sides of the spectrum, some saying it's really bad, others saying it's really good, others don't really have a strong opinion about it. So I had a very neutral approach to it while I was reading it and listening to other people's opinions about it because it is a slice of life webcomic, and I don't really expect much from it. I don't expect it to be serious or realistic or talk much about real topics and real issues of the LGBTQ plus community. That being said, I'm in no position to tell someone how they should feel about this webcomic. Also, in this short review, I won't be talking about the creator and their questionable decisions and behavior, and I also won't be addressing the animations where Prep is moaning after every 5 seconds. Okay, so let's start with the characters. The characters are just basic stereotypes on different personas of like the school atmosphere. So we have Goth. He's kind of bland to me. He's meant to be the cool one, but I don't know. Because it's the self-insert of the writer of the creator, it's kind of not as interesting right after you find that out. Goth is also a transgender, asexual, gay character, and he's my second least favorite character, which I found weird because he's pretty much the most consistent of all the characters, but that will make more sense as we get into the other characters. Self-insertion is usually a recipe for disaster, and personally I don't like it. I mean, sometimes it can work, but a lot of writers, including in this one, in this webcomic, make the self-insert kind of like, you know, the kind of always cool, knows what to say, puts them up on a pedestal, and I don't like that kind of writing. But yeah, that's the first character, Goth. Then there's Prep, who loves to rant, and he can be very clingy sometimes and anxious around people, and he sometimes is very oblivious to things, especially when people are flirting with him. Yeah, so he's not a bad character. I wouldn't rank him as the worst, but because literally the only reason why he's not like at the bottom of my list is because he has like the best fashion sense. Prep is a gay character and also the most insufferable. Prep is also rich and comes from a very rich family, and I think that's all I really care to say about him. And now to my favorite character, Nerd. I really like Nerd. He has infinite game. He's really fun and cute. Nerd is pansexual. He's really smart. He always speaks his mind. And a strange thing about this character, about all the characters really, is that there's this hierarchy of some sort of dominance, kind of, and Nerd is at the very bottom. I guess it's because he's the youngest, he's 19, but I'll get into that in a sec. Now let's go to the next character, Jock. I do not get this character. I just don't understand the writing behind this character. Jock is, a jock. He's very athletic, he's popular on TikTok, he's handsome. He's the lovable giant, you know, has a big heart, he's sweet to everybody, he's strong, and he comes second to this hierarchy that I'm gonna talk about. He is also bisexual and overall a great guy, and for some reason he's just at the bottom of my list. When it comes to interest, he's just very bland to me. The personalities of Prep and Jock seem to change a lot depending on who they're around. They seem to be more submissive when they're around someone like Goth, but when it comes to Nerd, they're pretty much taking up a role that is something that I find really strange about this comic, that it really didn't have to have that aspect because it's a slice of life comic, so it's not really necessary for this to be a part of it. But let's get into this hierarchy that the comic has. So a lot of the times we'll see the characters either hanging out together or hanging out in pairs and learning different things about each other and getting comfortable with each other, and it's not usually a consistent sequence. Sometimes it is, but you know, it can jump through time, and sometimes it's just different scenarios. You know how slice of life is. Maybe they're going to a concert, they went to a Twice concert. I remember Prep treated them to a resort, and you know, just fun slice of life stuff. This especially happens when they're hanging out in pairs. There's always this strange, weird power dynamic that has to happen, and I don't understand why. So here's the hierarchy. At the top of the hierarchy is Goth because he has a very dominating personality. Then second is Jock because he's strong, I guess. And then there's Prep, and then at the very bottom is Nerd. Now, the thing with Jock and Prep is that their personalities change depending on who they're hanging out with. For example, if Jock is hanging out with Goth, he's going to take a more submissive role, whereas if he's hanging out with Prep for Nerd, he's going to take a more dominating role. This happens with Prep's character as well when he's hanging out with Goth. He's this uwu hot choco character or whatever the hell he says in the comics, and then with like Nerd, he's this cool, sophisticated. He's kind of distant, aloof, kind of, and it's just strange to see sometimes. And you know what? I don't mind it as much. I like when characters are diverse and act differently around different people because it's realistic. That's how people act in the real world. And I can easily brush it off as the intentional writing, and that's just how things are with them, and that's just their personality. Except that Nerd and Goth are the exception, and they're almost always consistent. It's almost as if Nerd and Goth are the extreme ends of this hierarchy, and Prep and Jock are allowed to basically maneuver with whatever personality fits the situation. And coincidentally, the self-insert of the creator, Gup, is the most dominant, I guess, according to how he's written. I don't mind it because it keeps the story interesting, but at the same time, it's a slice of life. It didn't really need to have that aspect with every single character, or whenever they hang out in pairs. They could just be doing something. Like one of my favorite episodes were the Twice episodes where they went to the Twice concert. It was so fun because there wasn't anyone who was taking up a role to be a more dominant one. But whatever floats your boat, I didn't really mind those scenes so much. It's just that it brings a lot of inconsistencies when it comes to Prep and Jock. All that being said, I think that's the only thing that I somewhat had a strong opinion of. So in conclusion, it's neither the greatest thing I've ever read, nor is it the worst. In my honest opinion, I don't think you're missing out on anything if you don't read it. And even if you have and skip a few episodes or skip the entire second season or something like that, you're not really missing out on much. And just because it's slice of life doesn't mean it has to be boring. There are a lot of very fun and interesting slice of life out there. But one thing that's gonna make me keep reading Boyfriends is the art style. I'm a sucker for aesthetics. I love the pastel, the simplistic line work. It's just so clean and smooth, and it just feels like my brain is being massaged every time I read it. It's just so soft, and I like it. It gives me good vibes. The art style is also very consistent, and I think it matches very well with the writing. It's very simple and fluff. Now, when it comes to being realistic, I don't think it was meant to be realistic in the first place or tackle any real issues in polyamory or in the LGBTQ+ community. I think it was meant to be comfort content, to provide some escapism. At the end of the day, you just read the comic and switch off your brain and just enjoy the cute characters doing their cute things and living their lives, and at the end of the day, it's a clean, neat conclusion of some sort. Anyway, to wrap this up, I kind of enjoy reading it once in a while when I'm bored and I just want to look at something cute to, unwind. And I wish there were more comics with that art style, and if you know any, please let me know. I would really like to read more of those because the art style is just very comforting to me, but I don't hate it, and I'm not gonna go around recommending it to everybody that I've met. It's just there. It's just something that you might read to relax, I guess, and just see cute things, and that's how I'm gonna take it at surface level as it's meant to be seen. I think this webcomic blew up because Webtoon has been promoting this comic to death, and so that's why a lot of people are talking about it, and a lot of people have opinions about it. But at the end of the day, it's just meant to, fly under the radar. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not going to talk much about Refrainbow, the creator of Boyfriends, but a lot of the time, their personality and their previous not safe for work BTS content is brought up a lot when people review Boyfriends, and that might be playing a big role as to why people don't really like Boyfriends. To be fair, with Refrainbow's track record, it's kind of difficult to be unbiased. But if you're gonna read the webcomic, at least try and approach it with an open mind. My favorite part of the entire webcomic was the art style. It just worked for me. I loved the colors, the line work. It was just so pretty to look at. So yeah, that's my review of Boyfriends. I thought it was cute. I thought it was wholesome. The characters could use more work. It can get boring, but not much goes on anyway. Do like and subscribe if you want to see more webcomic reviews, and thank you for watching.